Hello and welcome to another episode of Moose's Gear Goo Review. I'm Moose, and today we got another knife review. This one's a strange one, at least in my book. This comes from Cold Steel. It is a kind of ethnic knife. It is the Cold Steel Kudu. So, yeah, I might have to adjust my camera here a little. Here we go. Alright, so this is the Cold Steel Kudu. Very unique style knife. It's based off of knives that are common in South Africa, and it's known as a ring pull knife. No, this is not a keychain I put on there. This is meant to be there, and that is part of the mechanism for this knife. Okay, so we'll get into some specs real quick, and then we'll go over this knife and what I think about it. So the overall length is 10 inches. The blade length is 4.25 inches long. The blade thickness is 0.08 inches thick. And yeah, other than that, the blade steel is 4116 stainless steel. And the handle is made out of a Zytel composite. So, yeah. So, looking at this knife, it emulates the knives that are common in South Africa. Blade shape, it's a clip point, flat ground, plain edge blade. There's no thumb studs, and there is a nail nick on the one side, right side, I guess, for deploying the knife. On it, you can see the Kudu logo with like a gazelle or a impala or whatever those things are. Actually, I guess that's called a kudu. And I think originally part of this, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, is that it was called a kudu knife because the handle originally or traditionally is made out of a kudu antler horn or something. Or at least they use part of it in there. And this is the kudu antler stylized in this stainless steel inlay there. So, kind of cool. But like I said, if I'm wrong, just correct me down below. Yeah, there's no jimping on it, and it's a fairly long blade. We'll get it into comparisons, but pretty simple. A little bit of a sharpening choil down here, and yeah, moving into the handle, we have a very simple pivot that you can take apart, but then it is a Zytel handle with a wood grain pattern to add texture. The handle itself is, fairly thin, kind of a stick handle, but I do like the curve at the back. Not like you'd be chopping, but I feel like if this handle is enlarged and have that curve, it would be good for chopping, but it's more or less to kind of hold on to. I feel definitely more comfortable gripping it up closer here for finer carving. But yeah, not bad. Interesting handle. I mean, there really isn't much to talk about more other than like this ring. So this big piece of steel here, or steel, this flat piece of steel or spring, is what torsions the actual lock mechanism. And so it has a pivot pin here to kind of let this piece of metal slightly articulate. But then the locking mechanism is from the tang of the blade slipping underneath this slab of metal and then popping up into that hole there. So what you have to do is then pull that leaf of metal off that nub of the tang of the blade, and then the blade will be able to swing. So it's kind of hard because it does take a lot of torsion, and you don't want this thing to shut on you. So you have to pull it without putting pressure on it. There we go. And then boom, and then unlock it. So it's kind of tricky, but it definitely stays in lock. So when you have it on here, it kind of acts as a friction folder. You're pressing down on that leaf spring there, and that keeps it from being pulled up. If you push on the back of the blade, it just engages the lock even more, which is actually kind of a brilliant design, because now it's pushing onto that metal and you really can't pull the ring either. So you have to actually grab it kind of back behind this pivot to let the spring lift, and then you kind of nudge it forward with your thumb, which kind of freaks me out because it's like, oh, I'm unlocking this and this thing's going to swing. But now it's also a ratcheting design, so you can see all the stops. Boom. So as you pull it, and then it clicks. So here, I'm going to put it up to the microphone to see if you can actually hear it. So there you go. I don't know if this is ASMR or not. So yeah, you get that click, which is different. But I really haven't perfected how to get this knife closed or opened. So honestly, I think with practice, and if this is the only knife I ever used, I'd get pretty good at it. Personally though, like, the learning curve is, in principle it seems simple, but it's actually kind of tough in my opinion. And it's definitely not a quick deployable knife. It's definitely a two-handed open-close knife. So maybe that'll fit into some knife laws somewhere. But it's definitely a unique one for a collection. And price-wise, at the time of this video, is like under $10 or just around $10 on Blade HQ. So I'll leave a link in the description below for that. But yeah, if you're looking for just a cheap knife or a unique knife, and something else to try or play around with, this is definitely one to check out. I'll try to get a close-up too of the ratchet. So you see on the tang of the blade there, you have all these little cuts and grooves. Here, let's see if I can focus in. So see that? Each one of those grooves is what ratchets into the next. So it looks pretty gnarly. So yeah. Alright guys, so let's compare it real quick, because there isn't much to say about this Kudu. We'll compare it to an Opinel number 8, just because it's kind of similar shape design. We'll do a Kershaw Skyline, and heck, we'll just do the Condor Pterosaur. So, overall length to blade, the Kudu actually has the longest blade about, and the longest handle for a folder, obviously. It's similar in blade length to the Condor Pterosaur, and then these other two are much shorter. Going on blade thickness, we'll do the Skyline here first. Skyline might be about the same blade thickness handle-wise, though. It's definitely going to the Kudu. And yeah, so that, it is a very light knife for being so long. Blade thickness, looks like the Kudu is just a hair thicker than the Opinel. So the Opinel handle is much thicker. Blade shape designs kind of neat, both flat ground. This is like a true flat grind. So still size, weight wise, still pretty similar. Then compared to the Pterosaur, Pterosaur is thicker and heavier. But you can just see how long that is. This is a fixed blade, and they both have the same length. Handle-wise, though, Kudu is much longer. So, very cool knives, though. Alright, so there you have it, more or less. Kudu, definitely an interesting, budget-friendly knife. If you're looking for a larger knife that you could definitely cut and prep food. Oh, I forgot something. Forgot the most important test of them all. This is where I might lose a finger. It's the ugly brown glove test. Yeah. Let's test it real quick. Grip wise, that hook on the bottom does kind of catch a little. This metal band up here is all smoothed out, so that doesn't really help. And the wood texturing does give it a little grip. There is no guard, so it is easy to slide up unless you lock your thumb on that ring pull location, which will then kind of hold it in, but it's not the most comfortable thing. So let's try closing this. Well, as I was able to close it, the ring definitely is easy to pull with a gloved hand, which is nice. But with nail nicks, I can't really get it open. Oh, there you go. Had to really pinch it. So technically, does this knife work? Yes. Nail nick, barely. Does it pass? I guess so. I'll give it a low rating though, just because it's hard to open and it's not the grippiest. So, C passing, we'll give it a C minus. So there you have it, guys. This is the South African inspired Kudu from Cold Steel. Interesting blade. It's something I definitely wouldn't carry, but it is kind of a nice gift, I guess, if people are interested in African knives or cultural knives, or if you're just looking for a cheap budget knife to play around with. So check it out if you want to. I'll leave links in the description below. Remember, guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, check out my other videos, and I'll see you outside. Peace.